Half a minute to go. Okay. Jai Baba. Nothing is real but God. Nothing matters but love for God. God is the only reality. All else that seems real is illusory. God and I are one. Meher Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thank you, beloved Baba and Jai Baba, to all of you. We are reading this beautiful book, Intimate Conversations with the Awakener, and we are on page number 27. And since some of you may drop off in between, so I'm just telling that Saturday being a Christmas day, we are not having our reading on the 25th Saturday. I'll be announcing this at the end of the session also. Okay, go ahead.
Acceptance, not annoyance. I was sitting on a bench in a quiet corner of the garden, enjoying the variety of flowers with their glorious colors. They reminded me of your matchless creativity and infinite beauty. What a wonder! In response to this fleeting appreciation, you appeared before me with a smile of good humor. Being everywhere, you can manifest anywhere, although it may seem as if you come from nowhere. I was so stunned that I greeted you with an awed and grateful silence. Before I could recover from this unexpected heavenly surprise, you asked me casually, "How are you?" "I'm okay," I replied vaguely, still under the spell of your arrival. You looked probingly at me. "Really?" I felt my mood shift and answered somewhat defensively, "Why? Don't you think so?" "But are you at peace with yourself?" you asked gently. Your loving concern disarmed me completely and gave me the courage to open my wounded heart. In fact, my mind is in shambles and my peace is in pieces, I confessed. Yet, you look quite composed, you observed. "This is only camouflage," I answered. You nodded as though in sympathy. "I'm glad you say so. Generally, people do camouflage themselves, especially when they are at parties and public gatherings. But aren't these occasions supposed to be times for relaxation and relief from the stress of life?" "Yes, but you soon find that all this merriment is only temporary. By the time you reach home, you begin to brood on unpleasant events connected with some of the persons you have had conversations with." "You're right," I admitted. "Even when I open certain letters, the contents irritate me. Or when I occasionally hear comments made during the day that I disagree with, I feel aggravated. I often lose my mental balance as a result. How can I get over this?" "Don't lose heart, and you will receive my help," you assured me. "But what is the real cause of all this annoyance and irritation?" I asked. It is natural that many unexpected things happen to you which annoy you, and this creates a sense of frustration. Sometimes you cannot help but express your irritation outwardly. But the more you see your life as being harmoniously interwoven with those you meet, your responses will be less selfish and more loving. The truth is, meeting others is really a meeting with your own many selves in order that you may eventually find your real self in me. When you begin to feel my presence in others, then the qualities that you envy in them will exude a new perfume of appreciation for you. Discovering my presence in others is always a joyous surprise and goes a long way towards helping me to help you.
Well, once again, Baba is touching on certain areas of our emotions where we put up a show of being happy, whereas internally we are disturbed, where we get agitated, irritated with somebody else's behavior, where we are provoked into judging others, into evaluating others, into compartmentalizing them into good and bad, right and wrong, etc., etc. So here the title itself says acceptance, not annoyance. The word acceptance is such a superb word, not only just a word, but once we learn the art of accepting what is, I've been repeating this very many times, that imagine the insanity of not accepting what is. Insanity is madness. Imagine the insanity of not accepting what is, because what is just is. Whether you accept it or not, that just is not going to change. So a wiser option to be exercised is to accept it first, instead of wasting our energy in this should not have happened, that should not have happened. Had it been like this, it would have been like this, and all kinds of, instead of wasting our energy in what is, we should invest our energy in what now. Now, what should we do? This is the situation. So, acceptance is a very absolutely powerful emotion that we can all cultivate to accept what is. Then, to a very great extent, our energy is conserved in looking after now what next, what is the solution, how do we move about it. Yeah. So now this is all an explanation. There's very little explanation required, but anyway, I'll read the whole thing, which is always very beautiful. The flora fauna of the languaging. I was sitting on a bench in a quiet corner of the garden, enjoying the variety of flowers with their glorious colors. They reminded me of your matchless creativity and infinite beauty. What a wonder! Obviously, it is so matchless, the creativity is so matchless that when you really think about it, simple thing like a seed of one vegetable and the seed of another vegetable and a seed of one fruit, they all almost look the same, but when they are planted in the soil and when they grow, they are all different. One may give a mogra, the other may give a rose, and somebody may give a certain vegetable, but basically the seed is just a seed. So much is inbuilt in that seed. The tree is within the seed. It's like that, and that sprouts. So what a majestic creativity! Absolutely matchless creativity. In response to this fleeting appreciation, you appeared before me with a smile of good humor. Being everywhere, you can manifest anywhere, although it may seem as if you come from nowhere. Even a fleeting appreciation. That is why we always say, that attitude of gratitude is such an important aspect to be again cultivated. That all the time we are in a praising mode, in a gratitude mode for everything that is happening in our life and around our life. It's always, whether the cup is half full or half empty, that's the same story. But once we cultivate our nazariya, our perception of only looking to what is positive, only showing our praise and gratitude towards the creator, then by and large, our energies become more and more potent, more and more positive, more and more towards positivity. I was so stunned that I greeted you with an awed and grateful silence. Awed would mean here with reverence. Awe can also mean so many other things, but here I would prefer this word with reverence, with respect. Before I could recover from the unexpected heavenly surprise, you asked me casually, "How are you?" "I'm okay," I replied vaguely, still under the spell of your arrival. You looked probingly at me. "Really?" Now, this aspect of Baba's nazar, probing into us, many people who have been with Baba, fortunately, could feel that when Baba's nazar falls on you, you can feel that it's like, now I can't even say X-ray, an MRI is going on. Everything is very open and very, nothing is secret. Everything is just opened up before Baba. His eyes were so probing that you cannot but confess or say whatever is the correct or the truth. You cannot lie to Baba. It was so probing. So you looked probingly at me. Really? I felt my mood shift and answered somewhat defensively. Why? Don't you think so? But are you at peace with yourself? Another very important aspect of one's happiness is that we should always be at peace with ourselves, no matter what is happening in the outside world. And peace can come only when we are so strongly anchored into Baba's presence, when we are so strongly anchored into thinking, feeling, and realizing that everything about us is an illusion. When I say about us, means around us, is an illusion. It's all an illusion. It's all impermanent. It's all a passing phase. It's not what it appears to be. What is apparent? Physical body, physical world. It is the truth is that there is no such thing as the physical world. That's what Baba says. Even for the physical body, the moment we shift our attention from the body to whatever you call it, Atman, Atma, self, Baba, soul, whatever you call it, that this body which I call I is just a vehicle, just an instrument in order for that real I within me to know who am I. So when our focus changes from the without to the within, from the external to the internal, by and large, I'm saying by and large, we do not get exceedingly affected by what is happening around us. Things are happening, but because I consider myself as the body, I get very aggravated, I get very excited, I get very disturbed, I lose my peace because I think it's happening to me. Whereas Baba has very beautifully said that nothing ever touches the soul. Nothing ever happens to the soul. All that is happening at the surface level of what you may call as the consciousness of the soul, the mind, the body, the emotions, which are not the truth, which are not the reality. So coming back to the reading, Baba is asking, but are you at peace with yourself? You asked gently. Your loving concern disarmed me completely and gave me the courage to open my wounded heart. That means he was really wounded, but the author was camouflaging his wound by just giving an external smile and saying everything is fine with me, which most of us also do. In fact, my mind is in shambles and my peace is in pieces, I confessed. Yet you look quite composed. In other words, here again, irrespective of what is happening out, his own lover is saying that I'm going through this turmoil. Baba is at peace. Baba is composed. It doesn't give much importance to these things, but at the same time, he is not callous. He is not heartless. He is not, oh, I don't care. That he is composed, and then he's giving us a direction as to how one should go about when we are in that shape. You look quite composed. You observed. That is only camouflage, I answered. You nodded as though in sympathy. Again, Baba's words, gentle, sympathizing. He's very sympathizing. There's only uplifting as we keep repeating, Baba never condemns. Baba doesn't say, oh, it's all your karma. Now you have to suffer. What can I do? He's sympathetic. With sympathy, he says, you nodded. I'm glad you say so. Generally, people do camouflage themselves, especially when they are at parties and public gatherings. See, parties and public gatherings are the arena for us to wear our masks. Masks. These days we wear masks, but that mask, oh, I am very rich, I am very affluent, I am very famous, I am very whatever, I am very happy, etc., etc. So But aren't these occasions supposed to be times for relaxation and relief from the stress of life? Author is asking. Yes, but you soon find that all this merriment is only temporary, which is a fact that everything in life is impermanent. They are all temporary. But by the time you reach home, you begin to brood on unpleasant events connected with some of the persons you have had conversations with after a party, or some kind of an outing or public gathering. We are very, what should I, expert at what we call as internal dialogue or self-talk. If you really look at when I say you, I mean myself, I include myself in that. We do a lot of self-talk. We do a talk of internal dialogue. We we are talking both sides. Means what the other person said, what you said, the other person may not have said that, but you are making out a whole story of the whole event that took place when you are returning. Why returning home all the time? We do that. You see, so one must catch ourselves when we are disturbed, perturbed, and analyze, why am I being disturbed? Why is it that I'm agitated, I'm perturbed? Is because I am playing both the roles. Somebody else said this, I said this. So after a party or a gathering, there is definitely, oh, this person came and talked to me like this. What does he think of himself? Whatever. That each one has their own set of dialogues which we keep doing it. And that is the thing which actually makes us, not peaceful, which agitates us, which creates a lot of turmoil within our life, within ourselves, because we are constantly in our internal dialogue, constantly thinking about the other person's talk, which the other person may not have talked. Even if the person has talked, it is not what the other person must have meant. Many times, this is one of my favorite sentences I say, that I am responsible for what I spoke. I am not responsible for what you think or what you perceived I spoke. Because many times certain people may say certain things, but you perceive it in a negative tune, in a negative tone. And then the dialogue, the gramophone starts. So, yes, but you soon find that all this merriment is only temporary. By the time you reach home, you begin to brood on unpleasant events connected with some of the persons you have had conversations with. You are right, I admit it. Even when I open certain letters, the contents irritate me. So it's not only the people, but sometimes when you get letters, when you get correspondence, when you read those things, it may irritate. Or when I occasionally hear comments made during the day that I disagree with, I feel aggravated. See, the point is, I'm going a little off or at a tangent, is that no two people may agree on on all the occasions for all the issues. There is likely to be disagreement. I'm talking about whether it is family, whether it is office environment, whether it is your housing society, wherever it may. Disagreement, in a sense, is a sign of vigor, a sign of activity, a sign of liveliness, isn't it? It's not a herd mentality. You disagree. But the problem arises that when there is disagreement, we take it personally. If I say produced an idea, okay, let's do this, and somebody says no, rubbish. Now his rubbish is connected with the issue which I have brought up, and not that I am rubbish. You see, now I take it personally that what nonsense, what does he think of myself? Let me see next time when he says something. So what I'm trying to convey is that we may disagree, debate, or even fight on issues, but that should not touch our heart. That has nothing to do with the person per se, as we say. It has to do with the issue. Once the issue is settled, it may be settled in my favor, it may be settled in somebody else's favor. It's over with. You go democratically wherever it is by majority. You have settled an issue. You just gloss over it. You just forget about it. You don't keep on brooding and churning it in our mind. That will spoil our health, because many people, who come for counseling and all that, we see that they are just brooding and just playing the same record over and over again for years. Something which happened several years back, But that was an instance that happened at that instant. Now that's all over with. Why do we keep churning that? But we do that out of whatever you call it, force of habit, or out of ignorance, our ignorance of how to come out of it. So remember, we can fight on issues, but not with the person. Okay. I feel aggravated. I often lose my mental balance as a result. Exactly. We lose our mental balance. How dare you say, how like that? How can I get over this? Baba says, don't lose heart and you will receive my help, you assured me. There's no reason to lose heart. Baba always said, don't lose heart. I'm always there with you. We have to discern. We have to use our sense of discrimination as to why should I hurt myself because of the actions of somebody else. Because it is somebody else's action or thoughts or whatever it is, words or letters or whatever it is, that has disturbed me. So the moment I ask, why should I disturb myself because of somebody else's behavior, that disturbance just goes away. And you approach the issue without any sense of I-ness, without any sense of ego, just on issue and not who proposed that certain proposal or whatever. Many times we go on who is saying, oh, XYZ is saying, then I must oppose. It should not be that. If the issue is really positive, if it is really gainful, if it is really serving in a community wherever we may be, then we must support that issue, even though it may have been brought up by somebody whom we may not necessarily go along with. But what is the real cause of all this annoyance and irritation? I asked. Baba says, it is natural that many unexpected things happen to you which annoy you, because everything cannot just happen which is pleasing to me, because there are a million souls we interact with, and they all have their different mold of karmas or samskaras, and so obviously they will all be behaving in a different pattern. So it may annoy us, and this creates a sense of frustration. Baba is saying, sometimes you cannot help but express your irritation outwardly. Sometimes the irritation is so much that you may even give vent to it outwardly. But the more you see your life as being harmoniously interwoven with those you meet, your response will be less selfish and more loving. Once we understand that why do two people, three people meet is because of we call it adan pradan, the give and take of samskaric link between these people. There's another very beautiful sentence from Baba that the more spiritual you become, words to the effect. Whenever I quote Baba, please take it that it is words to the effect. The meaning is conveyed, the words may not be exact. The more spiritual you become, the more tolerant you become. That means the more spiritual you are, the more tolerant you become, and the less differences you see. It's like a spoke, a wheel which has a spoke. At the circumference, they are very far away. But as they come closer and closer to the axis or axle or whatever you call it, they converge in a sense, and then they become one with the axis. So in the same way, the more spiritual you are, the less differences you will see, and the more tolerant you will become. So that is it. So here Baba is saying more or less the same thing, that once you see your life as being harmoniously interwoven with those you meet, your responses will be less selfish and more loving. The truth is, meeting others is really a meeting with your own many selves. We say the law of karma, that as you sow, so shall you reap. What you give out, that is what will come back to you. But why is that? In one line, my understanding is that whatever you give out to the universe, you have already given it to yourself, because there is no other. There is no other. According to all the sages, according to Baba, and according to all the seers, there's only one. So when you give out something to the universe, to whatever you call it, cosmos, to the world, you already given it to yourself because there is no other. So here Baba is saying the same thing, that basically when you meet others, you are meeting your own self in the others. I'll read the truth is meeting others is really a meeting with your own many selves in order that you may eventually find your real self in me. When you begin to feel my presence in others, again very important, whenever we interact with others, we should have that bent of mind. It may not be very easy to start with. Baba says you must begin to see my presence in each and every one and in each and every thing. Then obviously our responses would be very, very loving and very, very tapered and buffered, and we won't be exhibiting the so-called negative responses. When you begin to feel my presence in others, then the qualities that you envy in them will exude a new perfume of appreciation for you, because you are seeing Baba in others. There are some beautiful qualities in others, and when you see it in others, instead of envying them, you will appreciate them. You will Baba uses the word, you will have the perfume of that. In a message that Baba had given to Paulie Umrigar, when the team was going for playing a match, a cricket match. Again, test match, yes. I don't have the message right now, but the words to the effect were that true sportsmanship is what? That when you are playing for the sake of playing, not just winning or losing, when you are playing to give entertainment to the field, to those who are on the field, as well as to those who are on the audience, the spectator. And when you are enjoying the same amount of pleasure and goodness, whether your team won or the opposite team won, then that is true sportsmanship. So, to a certain extent, this matches here, that when you see some goodness in others, and when you recognize the other as nothing but your other self, or as nothing but a form of Baba, then instead of feeling jealous, instead of being envious, instead of having all the other negative aspects, you will actually appreciate those goodness in the others, because now you have got eyes to see Baba and feel Baba in the presence of others. Okay, 1 minute. When you begin to feel my in others, then the qualities that you envy in them will exude a new perfume of appreciation for you. Discovering my presence in others is always a joyous surprise and goes a long way toward helping me to help you. All these things Baba is saying, why? In order that we can help him, help Baba to help us to see our real self. What was he saying? Children. I don't know what you are saying. Say na. Okay, Swami is saying, of course we should correct children. Of course we should correct even the elders. But the correction has to be done in a loving tone. Where there is love, the correction is always, accepted very lovingly. Instead of one-uppishness, if you correct somebody with that one-uppish attitude, I am saying this, I know what is the right thing, then it may or may not penetrate into the other person's being. But if you tell things in a very loving manner, it is not just what you speak that matters, but how you speak. That plays a very important role in our interaction in life. Of course, who speaks also makes a lot of difference. But then that is another matter because the who that is you is only you. You can't change your who are you. But the way you speak, the way you convey makes a lot of difference whether the other person would accept your counsel or not.
You're right, I acknowledged. I have experienced this, but then I totally forget the blessings you have showered on me, and I continue the bad habit of keeping a careful count of all my troubles. This seems to be deeply ingrained in me.
We always keep a careful count of all that is negative for us. Oh, I'm having this ache, I'm having that ache, this person insulted it, this person said like this person said with such a at such a high tone, insulting tone. So all these troubles we keep as if they are treasures and we keep counting them over and over again. But what about 10 times or 100 times more good things that is happening in our life? For that, we don't have a separate chamber where we can keep them and ruminate about that or think about that and circulate that in our mind and praise the Lord and show our gratitude.
That is because you forget that delightful encounters are waiting for you just around the corner. Are they? Yes, because life is always moving, consciously or unconsciously, towards that bliss which is your real nature. Yet it seems that in spite of anticipating this bliss, I am constantly passing through disturbing experiences. Again, I saw a look of deep sympathy in your eyes. The disturbances you speak of are always relative to your acceptance of my will. If you take the things that happen to you as expressions of my will, you will feel less annoyed and the spirit of acceptance will be awakened in you. Learn to accept life as it is without getting annoyed, and I will help you. Do you think that I am cruel? I could only look at you. You shook your head solemnly. No, even if I wished to be, I could not. I love you. I love all. I was greatly moved and had no idea of what to say. You know that I am an ordinary person, a flounder. I can't understand everything you have tried to convey to me during your visits. Yet I am more grateful to you than I can say. Your eyes sparkled merrily. Right, you agreed. This is all so simple, yet for you, not so simple. I will tell you a secret. The jug of my intoxicating wine does not notice when the cup runs over. This is my weakness that I continue to share beyond your capacity. You smiled benignly. If ever, if you ever desire to take a life journey with me, you will pass through exciting and challenging events that will bring you moments of joy and agony never experienced before. These experiences will nourish your spirit to continue the journey onward. But the first step is the real adventure. Your words set my heart aflutter. Will you help me to take that step?
Beautiful. So here again, help me to help you. You are right, I acknowledge. I have experienced this. But then I totally forget the blessings you have showered on me and I continue the bad habit of keeping a careful count of all my troubles. This we did. This seems to be deeply ingrained in me. We are always highlighting the negative aspect and not taking care of what such good things that are happening in our life. That is because you forget that delightful encounters are waiting for you around the corner. Are they? Delightful encounters are always waiting for us because Baba says in the next sentence, yes, because life is always moving consciously or unconsciously toward that bliss which is your real nature. So we had done this earlier. There is no creature that is not destined for the supreme goal, as there is no river that is not winding its way to the sea. Everything is moving on towards the goal, whether we experience it that way or not, consciously or unconsciously, we are all moving in that direction. Again, I saw a look of deep sympathy in your eyes. The disturbances you speak of are always relative to your acceptance of my will. The disturbances, the more acceptance of Baba's will, the less disturbance. The less acceptance of Baba's will, the more disturbance. Conversely or inversely proportionate, you can say. If you take things that happen to you as expressions of my will, you will feel less annoyed and the spirit of acceptance will be awakened in you. Even in Baba's My Wish, you will see that coming up very powerfully, that when you feel happy, think Baba wants me to be happy. When you suffer, think Baba wants me to suffer. And other paragraphs as well. Learn to accept life as it is without getting annoyed. So again, the acceptance point, acceptance come. Learn to accept life without getting annoyed, and I will help you. Do you think that I'm cruel? I could only look at you. You shook your head solemnly. No, even if I wished to be, I could not. I love you. I love you all. Baba can never ever be cruel. Baba had said, mercy is God's nature. He is so merciful that in spite of our flouting so many rules and doing so many things which we are not supposed to do, he can only shower mercy. And to a point when he writes, that it is my weakness that even when your cup runs over, I keep showering my mercy. That is my weakness. That's what Baba says. I was greatly moved and had no idea of what to say. You know that I am an ordinary person. Now, this is the what you can say excuse that all of us, but Baba, after all, I am just a human being. What can I do? So that was the ordinary person I floundered. I can't understand everything you have tried to convey to me during your visits, yet I am more grateful to you than I can say. Your eyes sparkled merrily. Right, you agreed. This is all so simple. I remember an instance when something happened and Dr. Bharucha, Ocean Bharucha, said, Baba, thank you for helping me out in certain situation. And Baba said that you have got no idea of how much I'm helping you. That even if you say, thank you, Baba, thank you, Baba, thank you, Baba, throughout your entire life, it would be insufficient to thank me because you have no idea of how much I love you. By love you doesn't mean just one person loves us all. How much I love you, how much I support you, how much I try to guide you and help you on your path towards realization, towards oneness with the truth. But then Baba says, I will tell you a secret. Now, this is Baba's secret, which we all know actually, but anyway, the jug of my intoxicating wine does not notice when the cup runs over. This is my weakness that I continue to share beyond your capacity. He keeps on loving us much beyond our capacity to accept and embrace that love. You smile benignly. If you ever desire to take life journey with me, that means make him our constant companion through thick and thin, through all the roller coaster rides that we go through. You will pass through exciting and challenging events that will bring you moments of joy and agony never experienced before. These experiences will nourish your spirit to continue the journey onward. But the first step is the real adventure. As Baba says so many times, it is not difficult to tread the spiritual path. What is difficult is to take the first step. What is difficult is to decide to walk on that path. Is it correct?
Your, your words set my heart aflutter. Will you help me take that step? That is totally dependent on your wish and will, for whatever is imposed does not last long. But perhaps because you are asking this of me sincerely, you have already sown the seed for such a journey. Will I have to wait long before it begins? You cautioned. Well, this step requires a brave heart. You have to be ready to suffer with joyous resignation to my will. But don't worry about the delay. Have you ever watched the slow, graceful rising of the sun? Or thought about the gradual ripening of a fruit nestled among the leaves of a tree, or the unfolding of a flower bud to the light of the day. There is joy in waiting and longing for the manifestation of my greater presence within you. Will I then be at peace with myself? I question. Only when your mind and heart realize that the real rest lies in my constant companionship. Although this has answered my question, it does not provide a solution. Here is a simple clue. Try to think of me more and more wholeheartedly. You have often asked me to remember you, but what is the name by which you most like to be remembered? Any name that naturally comes from the depths of your heart is my name. The language of the heart blooms from my silence, which speaks through all languages but is bound by none. With humble reverence, I quipped affectionately. In your omniscience, you commit to nothing. In your omnipotence, you get bound by anything or by any word. You gave me a heart penetrating look, then rose to your feet. All right, then, I'm leaving. In silence, we moved slowly the side gate of the garden and parted. It was a sad parting, though in some way not painful. Yet I could not stop the tears from rolling down my cheeks. They were tears of unspeakable relief and joy. You had gone a few steps, then turned and cast a most intimate glance at me. Then it was as though you disappeared into the shimmering rays of the morning, into the glistening grass, the flowers, and everything under the blue dome of the sky. But that brief glance lit a tiny flame of your luminous presence in my heart. I felt so pure, so tender, that I feared the slightest doubt about your visit might extinguish it. O compassionate Father, let the slender flame continue to glow and guide my every step to you, the light that is ever shining within.
Where is it? Okay. So here we talked about the first step, that we take ages, lifetimes to decide upon treading the spiritual path. Basically, what it means is about totally inviting Baba into our life, remembering him constantly, wholeheartedly, and allowing him to live, in a sense, his life through us that way. So, but the first step is the real adventure. That's what Baba says. Your words set my heart aflutter. Will you help me to take that step? The author is asking with all earnestness, with all sincerity, will you ask me? Will you help me to take that step? Baba says, that is totally dependent on your wish and will. Baba is so democratic. Baba is so, like a man of the world. For whatever is imposed does not last long. This is also a very, very important sentence. Many of us do things because it is imposed upon us, whatever it may be. It could be meditation, it could be concentration, it could be nam jap, it could be something, anything that is not done with the heart, with lovingness. One should feel jubilant, one should feel very, what should I say, sprightly about doing whatever we are doing in Baba's cause. In fact, at other place, Baba said that if you do not have the time for the work, then why do you do it? Why do you stretch yourself? If you do not have the money, then why do you spend it? It has to come from the heart. I remember an instance where K. Ramakrishnan, he was the first secretary of the Avatar Meher Baba Pune Center, a very educated person, erudite. He has done a lot of work for the Pune Center in compiling so many short books on Baba, culling out important aspects of Baba's messages and printing them into smaller books, Meher era publication. One fine day, uh, again, words to the effect. The story goes that he wanted to be spiritual. In a sense, how we have getting up in the morning and doing this meditation, doing this, doing that, observing silence, observing fast, and stuff like that. So somehow he conveyed that wish of his to Baba, that he wants to lead a spiritual life, something like that. And quickly the answer came, what? Like real what? You want to be a yogi? And then Baba said, that eat, drink, and be merry, and continue doing my work as a pleasant hobby. So when we do Baba's work with enthusiasm, with love, as a pleasant hobby, that which gives us a sense of, a joy, then that's fine. If you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. So here, all this came about because of this sentence. Whatever is imposed does not last long. It will just fritter away. Does not. But perhaps because you are asking this of me sincerely, Baba says, you have already sown the seed for such a journey. Because of the sense of sincerity with which you asked my help in order to tread that path or live that life, I have already sown the seed so that that will fructify. There's another beautiful message of Baba, again, words to the effect, which goes something like this, I have come to sow the seed of love in your hearts so that in spite of all the superficial diversity which your life in illusion must experience and endure, a feeling of oneness through love is brought about amongst all nations, creed, sects, and castes of the world. So that is the message. So Baba has come to sow that seed, and we go through up and down. That's beside the point. But the seed will finally fructify and bear fruits. So Baba says, because you have asked me, I have already sown the seed for such a journey. Will I have to wait long for this to begin, before it begins? You caution. Well, this step requires a brave heart. I remember Baba's message in our Bombay Center earlier on, Baba hugging Must Muhammad. And the message read something like this, that true love is no game for the faint hearted and the weak. It is born of understanding and strength. Words to the effect. That means if you really talk about true love, faint-hearted and the weak cannot do that. The frame is no more there. We have changed it. But it was that true love is no game for the faint-hearted and the weak. It is born of strength and understanding. That was the message. So Baba says the same thing. That, well, this step requires a brave heart. You must have strength and understanding. You have to be ready to suffer with joyous resignation to my will. That means there is a suffering and there should be joyous resignation. I remember Adi K. Irani, Adi Senior, asking Baba in one of the messages, Baba talked about the pleasure of suffering or the joyousness, the joy of suffering. And how can that be? And Baba gave a very, very beautiful example that when you feel like scratching, you feel like itching, and you are scratching. And when you are scratching, there's an itch. It pains because you are scratching. Sometimes it may even bleed. But at the same time, when you are scratching, there is pain, and at the same time, there is a sense of joy. I am sure we must have all experienced that. So that kind of combination of suffering with joyous resignation to Baba's will. So here Baba says, You have to be ready to suffer with joyous resignation to my will. But don't worry about the delay. We all are concerned with time. We want jhatpat, quick fix. But don't worry about the delay. Have you ever watched the slow, graceful rising of the sun? It is slow. It doesn't come up all of a sudden. And gracefully it is coming up. Or thought about the gradual ripening of a fruit nestled among the leaves of a tree? How the fruit uh, becomes ripe? Very gracefully, very casually. It takes its own time. Or the unfolding of a flower bud to the light of the day. There is joy in waiting and longing for the manifestation of my greater presence within you. In other words, waiting and longing are very important ingredients for the unveiling of the truth within us. Again, I am reminded of an episode where I'm sure we all must be doing, where Bauji was waiting for Baba's call, and Baba did not call for hours together, and he felt frustrated, and he said, Baba is wasting my time. If that much time was given to me, I would have attended to the correspondence and written some replies to the Hindi questions that was being asked of Baba and all that. And obviously, Baba snapped and called and said, what are you thinking? And Bauji said, nothing. No, no, tell me what are you thinking? And then Baba said, do you think this is a waste of time? Do you have any idea of how important this waiting is? Waiting for my call. You see, it's such a Baba gave so much of importance to that waiting and longing for his call. Well, I will I be at peace? Sorry, will I then be at peace with myself? I question. Only when your mind and heart realize that the real rest lies in my constant companionship. We say, Gol Gumake, it comes to that point only. Constant, wholehearted remembrance. So we will all be at peace in our heart and in our mind only when, sorry, the real rest lies in my constant companionship. Although this has answered my question, it does not provide a solution. Then Baba says, here is a simple clue how much he's coming down to our level and giving like step 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a simple clue. Try to think of me more and more wholeheartedly. That is the whole name of the game, is constant wholehearted remembrance. The panacea of all issues, all problems, all troubles, everything. Panacea is a cure all. It is something, it's a remedy for every illness. That way. You often ask me to remember you, but what is the name by which you most like to be remembered? Now, here again, many people, because Baba had said that those who remember me wholeheartedly at the time of breathing last will come to me, their last. So people ask, what should I say? Baba or Meher Baba or Avatar Meher Baba? And somebody goes on to say, Sarva Vyapi Avatar Meher Baba, Mon Avatar Meher Baba, all that. This was asked of me several times. I would say, simply say Baba. Why? Because Baba used that word Baba. You know, he never said, many times he has used that, even when you breathe in Baba, even when you remember him first thing in the morning, 12 noon, 5 in the evening, last thing before you go to bed, Baba never used the word Meher Baba or Avatar Meher Baba. Does it mean that that won't work? No, it doesn't mean that. Because the question was asked of me, I would say, I would remember him by saying Baba. Why? This was just a joke that I said, because when you are breathing your last, if you want to say Avatar Meher Baba and you have said Ava, finish. You have gone in before you could say Avatar Mere Baba. In the and the you are down. Just on a lighter vein, I was saying this. And when Baba had said Baba, why can't we just stick to that? Because that's what he has been, in a sense, advocating and suggesting and recommending to everybody. Just say Baba. I would say that Baba. Many people say, oh, there are so many Babas, this Baba, that Baba. How do we know? I said there may be hundreds of Babas, but our connection is with this Baba. So when we say Baba, we are addressing this Baba. And I'm digressing, but I would say when we used to play in our colony some kind of game, ball game or shuttle or tennis or whatever it is, and we would feel thirsty, and we would call out from the playing field, we go to the building and say, "Mommy." When we say mommy, 10 mummies will not come out. Only that mummy whose son has called out mommy would come out and say, what do you want? And we would gesture pani. And then we had that contrivance of putting a basket with a rope, and the water will come down and all the team would enjoy the pani. So in other words, what I'm trying to say, when we say Baba, it is going to be only Meher Baba. Because many people here also, Meher Baba, some people would say Jai Baba and people would say Jai Meher Baba. I don't know why we should say. Anyway, I don't want to get into that discussion because amongst us, when we are talking Jai Baba, obviously we are talking Meher Baba, isn't it? Okay, if you are addressing somebody else, if you are writing a letter to somebody where you want to put a name on the top, people do write that. There you may write Jai Meher Baba, that's a different story. But when between us we are talking, obviously when we say Baba, we are talking about our most beloved master, Meher Baba. So this is my take, how I look at it. It doesn't mean that this should start another debate on what one should say. All right. So what name? So Baba says the any name that naturally comes from the depths of your heart is my name. So you can say any name that is my name. The language of the heart blooms from my silence. The language of the heart blooms from my silence and speaks through all languages. So, whatever name you want to call him with, you are free to call him with. It speaks all languages, but is bound by none. He is bound by none. But his silence is the source of all the names. With humble reverence, I quipped affectionately, in your omniscience, omniscience is all knowingness, you commit to nothing. You commit to nothing. You're not committing anything. You're not saying, do this and don't do this. In your omnipotence, which means you're all powerful, you are all powerful. In your omnipotence, you get bound by anything. See the choice of words. You're omnipotent, but you will get bound by our love. You will get bound by our sincerity and all that. In your omnipotence, you get bound by anything or by any word. You gave me a heart penetrating look, then rose to your feet. All right, then I'm leaving. In silence, we moved slowly to the side gate of the garden and parted. It was a sad parting, though in some way not painful. Sometimes you feel that it is sad, but it's not painful because you have gained so much from that visit. Yet I could not stop the tears from rolling down my cheeks. They were tears of an unspeakable relief and joy. People shed tears. There's a saying, I forgot that those who cry for love, that is the real crying. All others cry for vain. It's a vain, it's a crying in vain. Means for no good crying. So there are tears of suffering and there are tears of joy. So these were the tears of joy. You had gone a few steps, then turned and cast a most intimate glance at me. We know this practice. Baba did that with Don Stevens. Baba did that with so many people that he would. Asha, can you just mute your mic, please? Dear Asha, thank you. Then it was as though you disappeared into the shimmering rays of the morning, into the glistening grass, the flowers, and everything under the blue dome of the sky. So Baba just walked out of the presence. But that brief glance lit a tiny flame of your luminous presence in my heart. We have seen it in the movies also. Baba would walk and then turn around and glance at somebody and then continue to walk. I felt so pure, so tender that I feared the slightest doubt about your visit might extinguish it. Even at this point, there is that aspect of, is it all real? Is it all really happening? Or is it just an imagination, a play of my own mind? So he did not want to give a slightest vent to the doubt. And then he ends with the prayer, O compassionate Father, let this slender flame continue to glow and guide my every step to you, the light that is ever shining within. You are the light that is ever shining within. With this, we end the chapter. It's already 6:30. Any questions to be asked? Anything to share? Again, I am repeating, next Saturday, our session is not going to be there. Of course, we'll be circulating, it being Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas to all of you. Have a lovely
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Avatar Meher
Baba,
Baba ki
Baba,
jai. Oh, I think Meher Daruwala has something to say. Yes, Meher? You want to wish us all Merry Christmas?
Yes, wish you all a very Merry
Oh,
Christmas.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Paris uncle, what about the
What about what?
first of this thing, January? Will it be
First of
Saturday?
January, we'll decide on the 28th. Yeah, first also is